Chosen one. Heaven has pressed pause on everything around you so this moment could reach you. You are not here by accident, nor are you scrolling by chance. The tug you feel in your spirit is not a random thought. It is divine interruption. Pay attention, because this message cannot wait any longer. You have walked through seasons where silence screamed louder than words. Nights when your tears baptized your pillow. Days when the world looked at you and judged only what it could see, never knowing the depth of the battles you carried alone. And yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still chosen. That survival is not weakness. It is evidence. It is the fingerprint of God upon your life. Proof that you were preserved for something greater than blending in with the crowd. The time of hiding is over. The world may try to convince you to dilute your fire, to fit in, to silence your voice. But you were never created to blend. You were designed to disrupt. Your very presence shifts atmospheres. The reason you've been misunderstood is because you carry a light the darkness cannot explain, and it cannot endure. That is why attacks have followed you. That is why rejection has been your companion. But those experiences are not curses, they are confirmations. The Spirit of God whispers urgently now, do not despise the breaking, for it is preparing you to be a vessel of power. Every scar is oil. Every loss is seed. Every delay has been God's way of aligning your steps with heaven's timing. This message reaches you not to comfort your excuses, but to awaken your calling. Listen carefully. Chosen one, you cannot go back to who you were yesterday. The door has closed behind you. The season has shifted. And while others may continue sleeping through destiny, you cannot. To hesitate now is to risk forfeiting what God placed inside you before you were even born. That is why this message carries urgency, because heaven will not let you waste another breath wandering. The prophet Isaiah recorded words that thunder through the ages, words that belong to you right now. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will not grow weary. Do you see it? You are not called to crawl. You are not called to blend among sparrows. You are called to soar. Every weight, every distraction, every counterfeit that tried to anchor you must be cut away. This is your awakening. And now I speak directly to your spirit. Rise. Stop waiting for permission from people who never understood your assignment. Heaven already signed your name. You do not need their approval. You do not need their applause. The oil on your life is not negotiable. It is undeniable. You must decide today whether you will step into it fully, or watch it pass by while you make excuses. This is not coincidence. This is divine intervention. God's hand has arrested your attention because the hour is too late to delay. You are standing at a threshold. One step forward brings you into your assignment. One step backward traps you in cycles that will cost you more than you realize. The enemy would love to see you waste this moment. Heaven is urging you not to So listen, take this word seriously. Do not treat it as entertainment. This is a mantle being placed in your hands. To hold it, you must commit. To keep it, you must obey. And obedience begins with recognition, recognizing that you are chosen, marked, set apart for such a time as this. Now, beloved chosen one, if this word resonates in your spirit, act in faith. Do not remain silent. Declare your alignment. Share this message so that another warrior may awaken. Comment below the number 777 as a prophetic act, marking that you have heard the call and you receive the crown. And if you have not yet subscribed, do so. Now stay connected, because the flow of heaven's messages will not stop here. You are not here by mistake. You are not ordinary. You are not forgotten. You are chosen. Chosen one. Your journey has been marked not only by victories, but by deep and hidden scars. The kind of wounds that cannot be seen with the eyes yet weigh heavily upon the soul. You have carried disappointments that no one else even knows about. Smiles on the outside, storms on the inside. Many judged you by your outward composure, never realizing the silent battles you fought each night. Yet through it all, you endure it. Every hidden scar has forged strength in you. While others may have broken under the same weight, you were preserved. The pain you thought would destroy you has instead become the very evidence that you were born for endurance. Nothing has been wasted. Every betrayal hardened your discernment. Every rejection stripped away illusions. Every loss carved space in you for deeper capacity. You are not weaker because of your wounds. You are stronger because of them. Beloved, heaven has watched every tear. None of it slipped unnoticed. God's hand has been closer than your own breath. Though you questioned whether you had been abandoned, you were being carried. Your survival is not an accident, it is a testimony. You are a living witness that darkness cannot extinguish a flame protected by God Himself. The enemy thought to bury you, but he underestimated that you were seed, pressed into the soil, unseen, but destined to rise again. Scars, instead of disfiguring you, have made you radiant with a glory you could not have gained otherwise. The very things you wished never happened are shaping the anointing you carry now. Chosen one, your scars are not shameful. They are marks of victory. Do not hide them. Testify with them. They are not signs of weakness. They are signs of survival. The people God will send into your life will be healed by the very places where you were once wounded. What nearly broke, you will become the message that lifts others. The Spirit reminds you today that your brokenness has always been the meeting place of God's power. When you felt weakest, His strength held you. When you lost everything, His presence kept you breathing. You thought your story was ending, but it was being rewritten in fire and oil. And now, listen to the words spoken long ago that reach you in this very hour. The voice of David in the Psalms resounds with a truth that belongs to your journey. Psalms chapter 23, verse 4. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. This is the declaration over your scars. You did not walk through the valley alone. Even when no one else saw, He was guiding you. His staff corrected your steps. His rod defended you from enemies you could not even perceive. The valley was not your grave, it was your classroom. And every shadow that tried to suffocate your hope has become proof of the light that kept burning inside you. This is the declaration over your scars. You did not walk through the valley alone. Even when no one else saw, He was guiding you. His staff corrected your steps. His rod defended you from enemies you could not even perceive. The valley was not your grave, it was your classroom. And every shadow that tried to suffocate your hope has become proof of the light that kept burning inside you. Your scars are silent sermons, preaching to every spirit of darkness that you are unbreakable. They remind both heaven and hell that even when crushed, you did not crumble. The fire tried to consume you, yet you emerged, purified. The valley was never your end, it was the anvil of your becoming. Understand this, what you endured was not just about you. Your scars are assignments, carrying keys to unlock freedom for others. Someone else will stand on the edge of despair, but your testimony will pull them back. What once felt unbearable will soon become undeniable evidence that God transforms ashes into crowns. Do not be ashamed of the nights you nearly surrendered. Do not despise the moments you thought it was over. Those were the very moments heaven whispered, "Live." And you did. That whisper is why you are reading this right now. The same voice that sustained you then sustains you still. Chosen one. Your scars do not disqualify you. They authenticate you. They announce that you have seen darkness and yet refuse to stay there. They are living proof that God's power is greater than any chain, deeper than any wound, and stronger than any lie. You walk forward, clothed in unshakable victory. Take courage. Chosen one. Stop despising your scars. They are trophies of battles survived, reminders that you were never abandoned, and promises that your future is unshakable. What you carry now is strength disguised in tenderness, wisdom carved from pain, and authority forged in fire. These scars are the evidence that you are not ordinary, you are marked, chosen, preserved. One day, you will look back on all of it, and instead of asking, "Why did I suffer?" you will say, "Now I see it was preparation." Until then, walk with your head high. Do not hide the lines of your journey. Wear them as crowns. For every scar testifies, you made it. You survived. You are chosen. Chosen one. Pause and listen. This is not coincidence. This is not a random voice breaking into your day. This moment is divine interruption. Heaven itself has leaned down to speak directly to you, halting the noise of everything else so that you cannot mistake what is happening right now. How many times have you rushed past a whisper in your spirit, convincing yourself it was only imagination? How often have you delayed, telling yourself you would listen later, obey later, change later, and yet later never came? But now, God does not leave it to a whisper. He interrupts. He arrests your attention so you cannot miss the urgency of his voice. Beloved, interruptions are uncomfortable. They disrupt plans, shake routines, and force you to pause when you would rather continue. But every interruption from God is mercy in disguise. What feels like a delay is often divine protection. What feels like interference is often preparation for something greater than you imagined. This moment is one of those interruptions. God saw where you were heading. He saw the traps hidden in the path ahead. He saw the distractions dressed as opportunities. And because he loves you too much to let you wander into destruction, he placed this word in your path, not as a suggestion, but as a holy alarm. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah with a voice that still reverberates now. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Do you understand the weight of that? Even while you thought life was random, even while you wrestled with confusion, heaven already held a plan. Your interruptions are not accidents, they are intersections with destiny. What you call disruption, God calls redirection. Chosen one. Think about it. Had you continued down the same road, your strength would have drained, your heart would have hardened, and your calling would have been compromised. But God stepped in. This interruption is proof of your chosenness. He does not waste his breath on the unmarked. The very fact that he stopped you is evidence that he intends to send you. Right now, you must decide, will you resist this interruption? Or will you embrace it? Will you treat it as an annoyance? Or will you recognize it as divine mercy? Those who ignore God's interruptions risk wandering deeper into cycles that devour time and purpose. Those who yield to them discover doors they could never open on their own. Do not underestimate what is happening in this moment. Heaven is calling you to attention because the stakes are too high for you to remain passive. God is urging you to awaken before distraction steals another year of your life. This is not a gentle nudge, it is an urgent intervention. Chosen one. Hear me clearly. This word is not here to entertain you. It is here to shake you. It is here to draw a line in your spirit that says, no more delay. The mantle is in front of you, and you cannot ignore it without cost. And so I ask you to respond, not with silence, but with faith. Write it in the comments. I choose now. Declare it publicly. Why? Because declarations break chains. When you put words into the atmosphere, you align your spirit with your decision. Writing those 3 words is more than a gesture. It is an act of obedience that marks this interruption as accepted rather than rejected. Say it with your fingers. Type it with your faith. I choose now. This is not about pleasing the messenger. It is about aligning with the message. The moment you put those words into the earth, you plant a seed of decision that heaven will water with breakthrough. Let this divine interruption be the moment you look back on and say, that was when everything shifted. Let it be the marker where delay ended and destiny began. Do not brush past it. Do not silence it. Yield to it. Embrace it. Because what God interrupts, He intends to transform. Chosen one. If you can hear my voice, you already know this message was meant for you. Not for the many, but for you. The crown awaits. But it begins with surrender. It begins with an interruption. You choose not to resist. It begins with the courage to declare, I choose now. Chosen one. Now that heaven has pulled you to attention, it is time to see clearly what has long worked against you. You have wondered why life felt like a battlefield, why progress seemed to stall just as breakthrough drew near. What you could not always see is that you were not wrestling flesh and blood. Your opposition has never been mere circumstance, it has been strategy. The enemy of your soul has studied your patterns. He knows your weaknesses. He knows the wounds that still ache and the lies you are tempted to believe. From the beginning, his tactic has been deception, to convince you that you are powerless, that you are ordinary, that you are forgotten. Yet the truth is the opposite. You are chosen, powerful, and remembered. That is why you have been targeted so relentlessly. Understand this. Darkness fears you, not because of your strength alone, but because of the light you carry. Your presence alone disrupts atmospheres. You shift the unseen even when you do not realize it. That is why distraction has been constant. Why relationships meant to derail, you have crossed your path. Why temptations have whispered at your weakest moments. These are not coincidences, they are tactics. Look closer at the enemy's patterns. He tries to drain you through exhaustion, convincing you to settle for survival rather than pursuing destiny. He stirs voices of accusation, whispering that you are unworthy, unfit, or unloved. He tempts you with counterfeits that mimic purpose, but lead only to emptiness. If he cannot destroy you outright, he seeks to delay you, because a delayed chosen one is a muted weapon. But today, light exposes every hidden snare. You are not blind. You are not defenseless. The veil is being lifted so that you may see and stand. Heaven reveals strategies not to terrify you, but to arm you. Knowledge of the enemy's schemes is the first step toward victory. When you see the lie, you disarm its power. Remember, chosen one, opposition is confirmation. The weight of your battles testifies to the weight of your calling. The fiercer the resistance, the greater the evidence of your assignment. Hell does not waste resources on those who pose no threat. The very fact that you have endured such warfare proves that you are dangerous to darkness. The ancient words recorded in the book of Ephesians shine like a sword in your hand. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. These words are not theory, they are reality. You are not fighting neighbors or bosses or family members. You are confronting powers that work through people and circumstances to derail you. This is why forgiveness is power. This is why discernment is vital. When you recognize the true source of battle, you stop wasting energy on the surface and start striking at the root. Do not fear the revelation of the enemy's tactics. Fear would paralyze you, but knowledge empowers you. What once felt like chaos is now being unmasked as strategy, and you are being positioned to overcome it. You will not stumble blindly anymore. You will walk with clarity, wielding authority that darkness cannot withstand. Chosen one. You must remember, the enemy may scheme, but he is limited. His power is not infinite. His reach is not without boundary, and his end is already written. He fights desperately because he knows his time is short. You, however, fight from victory, not for victory. The cross has already sealed the outcome. Your task is to stand in what has already been won. So lift your head. Shake off the confusion that once clouded your sight. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a warrior equipped with revelation. What was hidden is now exposed. What was confusing is now clear. And with this clarity comes responsibility to walk in authority, to refuse compromise, to guard your destiny with vigilance. Beloved, this unveiling is a gift. It is heaven's way of saying, see the enemy for what he is, and no longer be deceived. From this moment on, every distraction will look different to you. Every whisper of accusation will be recognized for the lie it is. Every counterfeit path will lose its appeal, because truth has illuminated your vision. The battle is real. Yes, but so is your victory. You are chosen not only to survive it, but to overcome it. You are not merely called to endure the strategies of darkness, you are called to dismantle them. That is why heaven reveals. That is why the Spirit interrupts, so you can walk forward with eyes wide open. Unafraid, unshaken, unstoppable, chosen one. Here you stand on the edge of decision. It is as if heaven has brought you to a cliff overlooking two paths. Behind you lies the familiar. Cycles that promised comfort but always left you empty. Before you lies the unknown, a narrow way that requires surrender but leads to crowns. This is no small moment. This is the threshold of destiny. Imagine yourself holding a torch at the edge of darkness. One step back, and the flame flickers into obscurity. One step forward, and the flame ignites a path that was invisible until you moved. That is how destiny works. It is not revealed in its fullness until you dare to take the first step. You have felt this pull before, haven't you? That inner urging to rise higher, to give more, to stop settling. Yet, fear whispered, "Stay safe." Disappointment suggested, "What if it doesn't work?" And so you lingered in hesitation. But today, hesitation itself has become dangerous. To delay is to risk forfeiting the very purpose you were created to live. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Elijah with piercing clarity. 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 21. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, follow him. That ancient challenge is your challenge today. Will you choose the God who preserved you? Or will you waver in indecision? There is no middle ground anymore. The weight of your calling demands clarity. Beloved, understand, this choice is not simply private, it reverberates. Every yes to God ripples outward like a stone dropped into water, touching lives you may never meet. Every act of surrender strengthens the unseen chain, linking you with generations who will walk freer because you chose rightly. This is why your decision matters. You are not standing at this threshold only for yourself. You stand here for those connected to your obedience. And because the journey ahead is heavy, let me speak with honesty. This work of awakening, chosen ones, of pouring oil into lives, of breaking chains with words, it is a vineyard. Every vineyard requires tending. And just as farmers cannot reap a harvest without laborers, this work cannot flow without those who carry it with both prayer and support. Think of it like this: if a lighthouse keeper neglects his flame, ships will crash in the dark. But when others bring oil to the lamp, the flame never dies, and countless lives are guided safely to shore. This channel, this voice, this flow of messages, it is such a lighthouse. If the words here have lit your way, then your part in sustaining the flame matters deeply. Perhaps you cannot preach to thousands, but you can share this message, sending it like a lifeboat into the seas of someone's despair. Perhaps you cannot travel across nations, but you can help keep the signal alive by supporting it. Your share, your like, your subscription, even your donation, these are not small acts. They are oil for the lamp, bricks in the wall of the sanctuary, seeds in the soil of eternity. Do not think of it as charity, think of it as covenant. When you sow into the work of God, you are not giving away, you are multiplying. Just as a seed buried in the earth dies to itself, yet rises multiplied, so too does every act of support rise into a harvest far beyond what you can see. And do not underestimate the unseen. A like may seem like a click, but in the unseen, it is agreement. A share may feel like a gesture, but in the unseen, it is a trumpet blast that carries the message into enemy territory. A donation may look like money, but in the unseen, it is a weapon, arming the army of chosen ones for battle. So, I speak to you gently, yet firmly. If this message has stirred you, Do not let it stay with you alone. Pass the torch, share it. Strengthen the flame like it. Stay connected to the flow, subscribe. And if God places it on your heart, sow into this vineyard, donate, knowing that you are not funding a voice, but fueling a movement. This is what standing on the threshold looks like. It is not merely about choosing for yourself, but about choosing to become a channel for others. You are called not only to carry the light, but to keep it burning for those still trapped in darkness. The valley behind you has nothing left to offer. The crown ahead of you is waiting. Step boldly. Do not waver. Do not delay. Say yes, and let your yes echo through every action, every click, every seed, every prayer. Because, chosen one, the threshold is not meant to hold you. It is meant to launch you. Chosen one, mercy leans close to you now. You have felt the pull of heaven, and you know this is not just another word. It is the echo of eternity meeting your present. The truth is this: mercy is not endless delay. Mercy is a door. Doors are not meant to stay open forever. They exist for a moment, for a season, and then they close. Think of Noah. The ark stood with its door wide open for a time. Rain had not yet fallen. The skies seemed calm, and many scoffed at the urgency of the message. But then, the day came when the Lord himself shut the door. Opportunity turned to memory, and mercy gave way to judgment. That moment is a warning to every chosen one. Mercy has a voice, but it also has a limit. You may feel as though you have time, that you can linger in indecision a little longer, that you can delay obedience for another day. But the Spirit whispers with urgency: delay is dangerous. Procrastination is rebellion wearing a softer mask. The crown is not won by the one who waits endlessly, but by the one who moves when heaven says move. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19. This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live. Hear the force of those words. Chosen one, the decision before you is not small. It is not about preference, it is about life or death, blessing or curse, inheritance or loss. The choice you make now ripples beyond you, reaching into the lives of those who will come after you. Mercy is leaning in, not because you are insignificant, but because you are essential. Your calling carries weight in heaven's design. That is why conviction presses on your heart so firmly right now. Heaven does not waste its warnings. If you feel the urgency, it is because heaven sees what is at stake. You are one choice away from clarity, one choice away from freedom, one choice away from stepping fully into the design God has placed over your life. But you are also one rebellion away from blindness. This is why mercy's voice trembles with urgency. It is calling you to decide while the door is open. Picture it like a train waiting at the station. Its doors are open. The conductor is calling, and you can step on board. But if you hesitate too long, the train will not wait. It will move, and you will be left standing on the platform with regret heavy in your hands. That is how mercy works. It is invitation, but it is also movement. Chosen one, I must speak plainly. The time for half-hearted faith is over. The time for dipping in and out of surrender is gone. Heaven requires your full yes, not later. Now, do not think tomorrow will be easier. Tomorrow will only harden the heart further. Today is the day of decision. And mercy is standing before you as a witness. The presence of God is not pressing you to shame you, but to save you. Conviction is not condemnation, it is a gift. It means the door is still open. The invitation still extended. Do not waste this gift. To ignore conviction is to trample mercy. To heed conviction is to embrace destiny. And so, I ask you to mark this moment in faith. Write it down. Let it echo beyond your own heart. Comment the number 707 below. Why 707? Because it is a prophetic act, a sign that you choose completeness, divine alignment, and heavenly covering. When you type it, you are saying, I hear the voice of mercy, and I will not ignore it. This is not superstition, it is declaration. Numbers in Scripture carried weight because they were markers of covenant. By writing 707, you plant your flag in the ground and tell both heaven and hell, I choose life. I choose obedience. I choose now. Openly. Do not underestimate this act. It may look simple, but in the unseen realm, it is thunder. It is agreement with heaven's invitation, and agreement is the doorway to transformation. Chosen one, mercy has found you again. Do not despise this gift. Do not wait for another sign. This is the sign. This is the interruption. This is the open door. Step through it while it is before you. For the day will come when the door closes, and no cry will open it again. Your destiny is calling. Mercy has cleared the path. All that remains is your yes. Do not delay. Choose life. Chosen one. When heaven marks a life, it does not leave you wandering without direction. Destiny is not a vague dream or a random guess. It is a mantle placed on your shoulders, a mission written into your bones, and a map drawn by the hand of God Himself. What you have felt stirring within you is not confusion, it is the summons of purpose. A mantle is more than a garment. It is identity wrapped in calling. When Elijah's mantle fell upon Elisha, it was not fabric that touched him, it was assignment. Weight. Authority. The same is true for you. What you carry is not decoration. It is divine clothing. You have been set apart, and heaven has dressed you for a mission that only you can fulfill. Do not despise the weight of it. The mantle will not always feel light. There will be days when it presses down, when you long for a simpler life, when you wonder if being chosen is worth the isolation. But remember this, the mantle is evidence of trust. God does not clothe the careless in garments of glory. If He placed it upon you, it is because He knew you could carry it. Your mission flows from the mantle. You were not chosen to stand still. You were chosen to move, to walk into spaces where others would never dare, to speak when silence would be easier, to shine when blending would be safer. Your mission is not about self-exaltation, it is about service. It is about becoming a vessel through which God can release healing, light, and truth into a broken world. And what about the map? You may not see the entire journey at once, but heaven always provides the next step. Just as Israel followed a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night, you too are guided one moment at a time. Sometimes the path will look unfamiliar. Sometimes it will appear narrow, steep, or even impossible. But the map is trustworthy because the one who drew it is faithful. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9, "What no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, the things God has prepared for those who love him." Do you hear the promise woven into those words? You cannot even imagine the fullness of what God has prepared. Your mind may try to picture it, but your imagination will always fall short of the reality. The map leads to places beyond your current comprehension. That is why faith is necessary. Faith walks even when sight fails. Chosen one. You must learn to trust the process. A traveler does not argue with the map maker. He follows, even when the route seems longer, even when detours appear. The same is true for you. Do not measure your mission by speed. Do not despise the seasons of waiting, for even pauses are part of the path. The mantle has timing. The mission has stages. The map has destinations. You will only understand when you arrive. There will be resistance. Every mission worth living attracts opposition, but the mantle is your covering. It reminds you who sent you. The mission is your fire. It keeps you moving when discouragement whispers. And the map is your compass. It keeps you from straying into roads that look easier but lead nowhere. Think of a soldier stepping onto a battlefield. His uniform identifies his allegiance. His orders define his actions. And his map guides his strategy. You, too, walk with clarity. Your uniform is your mantle. Your orders are your mission. And your guidance is heaven's map. You are not wandering, you are deployed. Beloved, do not fear the unknown. The map may take you through valleys as well as mountains, deserts as well as rivers. But every landscape is training, every terrain is shaping you. God does not send you unprepared. The mantle you wear is equipped for every season you will face. The mission you carry has been tailored for your heart and your history. Even the scars you bear are tools for this journey. So lift your eyes. Chosen one. Stop staring at what is behind you. The mantle on your shoulders is not for yesterday, it is for tomorrow. The mission in your spirit is not for your comfort, it is for your calling. The map in your hand may not show every detail, but it shows enough for you to take the next step. And that step is all heaven asks of you today. Chosen one. Now that you have seen the mantle upon your shoulders, you must also understand the price of wearing it. Glory is not free. Anointing is not cheap. Destiny demands everything. To walk in your calling, you must accept the cost of obedience. Obedience is not a comfortable word. It cuts against the grain of pride, independence, and self-preservation. Yet it is the very pathway that leads to life. Many desire the crown, but shrink from the cross. Many long for the platform, but resist the preparation. But you cannot separate the two. The road to glory is paved with surrender. Think of Abraham, called to leave his homeland. He obeyed without knowing where he was going. His obedience cost him familiarity, security, and control. Yet through that obedience, nations were birthed. Think of Moses, called to confront Pharaoh. He obeyed, though fear trembled in his heart. His obedience cost him comfort, reputation, and anonymity. Yet, through that obedience, millions were delivered. Think of Jesus himself, called to the cross. He obeyed, though it cost him everything. And through his obedience, salvation was poured out on all. The same truth echoes for you. Your obedience will cost you relationships that cannot walk where you are going. It may cost you opportunities that glitter but do not align with heaven's assignment. It may cost you the approval of people who prefer you small, silent, and safe. But obedience, though costly, always leads to treasure far greater than what is lost. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Psalms chapter 119, verse 105. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light for my path. Do you see it? Obedience is not about blindly stumbling, it is about walking by light. The lamp may not reveal the entire road, but it reveals enough for the next step. Every step taken in obedience opens new vision, new provision, new doors. The way may be narrow, but the light never fails. Chosen one. Obedience is warfare. Every time you obey, you wage war against the kingdom of darkness. Disobedience chains you. Obedience frees you. Disobedience silences your authority. Obedience amplifies it. That is why the enemy tempts you with shortcuts and compromises, because he fears what your obedience will unlock. You must be prepared for the loneliness of obedience. Not everyone will understand your yes. Some will call it foolishness. Others will mock. Others will leave. But do not be dismayed. The road of obedience is often walked with fewer companions, but heaven walks beside you. Better to walk alone in obedience than surrounded in rebellion. And understand this, the cost of obedience is temporary, but the reward is eternal. Earthly treasures fade. Human applause fades. But crowns forged in obedience shine forever. Do not measure the cost by what you lose now. Measure it by what you gain later. A harvest awaits those who obey in faith. Even when they cannot see the fruit, yet there will be moments when obedience feels like breaking. When your yes to God means letting go of what your heart thought it needed, tears may fall. Doubts may whisper. But hold fast. God never asks for surrender without preparing something greater in return. Eis nodeptor. What you release will return, pressed down, shaken together, running over in ways you cannot yet imagine. Chosen one. Obedience will also require discipline. It will ask you to silence distractions, to train your spirit, to align your daily actions with eternal priorities. Every prayer you pray, every temptation you resist, every word of kindness you choose instead of silence, these are acts of obedience, shaping you into the vessel you were always meant to be. Do not be deceived. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. Partial obedience is still rebellion. God does not ask for half a heart. He asks for all. The cost is great. Yes, but the gain is immeasurable. What he gives in return cannot be bought with gold or earned with labor. It is only received through surrender. So stand firm. When the choice comes between comfort and calling, choose calling. When the road divides between obedience and compromise, choose obedience. When the crown feels heavy, remember the cross was heavier, and yet it was endured for your sake. Chosen one. The cost of obedience will strip you, but it will not destroy you. It will refine you, but it will not consume you. And when the fire passes, you will emerge purer, stronger, and more radiant than ever before. This is the way of the chosen. This is the path of destiny. Chosen one. There comes a moment when words cannot remain silent inside you. A moment when your spirit must align with heaven through declaration. This is that moment, prophetic activation. What has been stirring quietly within must now find expression, because words spoken in faith carry power to shift the atmosphere around you. Think of Ezekiel standing in a valley filled with dry bones. What changed the bones from death to life was not thought, not silence, but spoken prophecy. He opened his mouth, obeyed the voice of God, and declared what seemed impossible, and as he spoke, the wind came, the bones shook, and life entered. That is prophetic activation, when your words, aligned with heaven, call forth what eyes cannot yet see. The same principle is before you now. You are not powerless. Your voice is a weapon. Your declarations a sword. Heaven does not wait for you to feel strong. Heaven waits for you to speak in faith. Even the smallest declaration, when spoken with conviction, can break chains that years of silence have sustained. Your words are not echoes fading into emptiness. They are arrows released into the unseen. When loosed with faith, they strike targets far beyond what your natural eyes perceive. Every yes you release into the air reshapes your environment and shifts the balance in realms you cannot yet touch. Do not despise small beginnings in speech. Even a whisper, when saturated with heaven's authority, shakes foundations. It is not the volume of your declaration, but the alignment of your heart that makes it powerful. One word spoken in faith can achieve what a lifetime of silence never could. Chosen one. Heaven longs for your agreement. Your silence has cost you too much already. Open your mouth. Let the fire flow, and watch as strongholds crumble where once there was only despair. The atmosphere awaits your command. The Spirit declares through the book of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Hear this carefully. Beloved, your tongue is not neutral. Every word you speak either plants life or sows death. Every declaration is a seed, and those seeds bear fruit. When you declare in alignment with heaven, you plant orchards of destiny that will feed generations. But when you stay silent, the soil remains barren, and what could have grown never does. This is why you must activate your calling with words. Do not wait until you feel worthy. Speak as if you already walk in the promise. Do not wait until you see the breakthrough. Declare as if it has already come. Faith does not wait for sight. Faith speaks before sight appears. Prophetic activation is not about shouting empty slogans. It is about agreement. When your voice agrees with God's word, the unseen bends to that alignment. Chains shatter. Doors open. And heaven's power flows where once there was only silence. This is why the enemy works so hard to muzzle your voice. He fears your declaration, because he knows it is dynamite to his schemes. Chosen one. I urge you now, let your spirit rise and your mouth follow. Do not keep the fire trapped inside. Let it out. Plant it in the earth with words that will not return, void. And to mark this moment, I invite you to respond with a declaration, simple yet weighty. Write in the comments, I will speak. Oh, why those words? Because silence has tried to cage you. Doubt has tried to mute you. Fear has whispered that your words don't matter. But every time you say, I will speak, you break that cage. You affirm that your voice belongs to heaven, not to the lies of darkness. You set in motion a prophetic act that the Spirit will honor. Understand this. Those 3 words are not just pixels on a screen. They are a line drawn in the spiritual realm. They tell God, I agree with your call. They tell the enemy, my silence is over. And they tell your own soul, I have decided I will use my voice. Oh, beloved, your voice carries more than you know. It will heal the broken. It will lift the weary. It will awaken the sleeping. But before it reaches others, it must first awaken you. This is why prophetic activation begins with self-declaration. The fire you release in yourself will ignite others. Do not underestimate this moment. Heaven is waiting for your agreement. The valley of bones awaits your prophecy. The chains await your shout. The future awaits your words. Chosen one, do not remain silent anymore. Speak, prophesy, declare. Activate what has been lying dormant. For silence preserves nothing, but words release destiny. Chosen one. Look around you. The air is heavy with tension. The horizon lined with unseen soldiers. Whether you realize it or not, you are standing on a battlefield, not of flesh and blood, but of spirits and forces beyond the eyes of men. The war is real. And you are not a bystander. You are a commander chosen for this hour. Picture yourself holding a banner high on a hill. Below, an army waits, looking to you for signal. When you lift your banner, they rise. When you lower it, they falter. That is the weight of your presence, your obedience, your prayer, your declaration. They are signals to heaven's hosts and warnings to the darkness. You are not fighting alone. You are leading with unseen reinforcements at your side. Chosen one. The enemy has always tried to convince you that you are weak. He whispers that you are unworthy, that your voice doesn't matter, that your small acts mean nothing. But remember, every battle in history has turned on small actions. A single trumpet blast toppled Jericho's walls. A shepherd's stone brought down a giant. A widow's oil fed a nation. Small does not mean powerless when touched by God. Small becomes unstoppable. Scripture declares through the Apostle Paul in the book of Romans, Romans chapter 8, verse 37. In all these things, we are more than conquerors, through him who loved us. This is your identity, not a struggler clawing for survival, but a conqueror moving in victory, already secured. You fight not to win, but because the victory is already written. Your warfare is not desperation, it is enforcement. You are not trying to create triumph, you are standing in it. And yet, even conquerors need supply lines. No army survives without provision. Swords dull without sharpening. Torches burn out without oil. And soldiers weaken without nourishment. In the same way, this mission, this voice, this movement requires supply, not for vanity, not for luxury, but to keep the lamps burning so the army of chosen ones can keep marching. Think of this message as a well in the desert. Travelers stumble in thirsty, weary, desperate for a drink. They kneel, and water flows. But wells must be tended, stones must be cleared, buckets mended, ropes replaced. Without the hands of those who care, even the deepest spring remains untapped. That is where you come in. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, when you donate, you are tending the well. You ensure the flow never runs dry. Or imagine a lighthouse on a storm-tossed coast. Its beam slices through fog, guiding ships to safety. But that light is not magic. It burns on oil. Without oil, the flame dies and ships shatter on rocks. Chosen one. Your support, your simple acts of sharing, subscribing, sowing are the oil that keeps the light shining. You may never meet the sailors saved by it, but heaven records the lives spared because you kept the flame alive. Do not underestimate what feels small. A like is not just a button, it is agreement. A share is not just a link, it is a lifeline. A subscription is not just a click, it is a covenant of attention. A promise to stay connected to the flow. And a donation is not just money, it is weaponry. Armor, bread for soldiers, oil for lamps, water for wills. Beloved, if this battlefield stirs your spirit, if you sense the gravity of the hour, then step into your role. Lift your banner not only with words but with action. Engage with this message. Let it echo through your likes and shares. Stay in formation. Subscribe, so that you remain connected to the strategy heaven is unfolding here. And if the Spirit moves you, sow a seed, donate. Not as an obligation, but as a warrior supplying the front lines. Every army needs supply lines. Every battle requires both fighters and sustainers. In Sowing, you are not stepping back, you are stepping forward, ensuring the army does not falter. Your part matters. Your contribution matters. The flame will not die because chosen ones like you keep bringing oil. The battle is fierce. Yes, but so is your light. Stand tall. Lift your head. And remember, you are not a casualty, you are a conqueror. And every action you take to strengthen this movement is another blow struck against the darkness. Chosen one. The line is drawn. The battle engaged. Do not shrink back. Pick up your banner. Tend the flame. Strengthen the ranks. Heaven has trusted you with this hour, and with your yes, with your obedience, with your support. The light will blaze across the battlefield until every shadow flees. Chosen one. The most dangerous battles you face are not always the ones outside of you, but the ones that reach your ears and settle in your heart. Voice, shape, destiny. Some voices lift, some voices crush, and some disguise themselves so cleverly that their poison tastes like honey. To carry your mantle well, you must learn to separate false voices from true counsel. False voices rarely appear as enemies. They often come dressed as friends, mentors, or protectors. They speak what is comfortable, not what is true. They appeal to your fears, your wounds, or your desire for quick solutions. Their words may soothe you in the moment, but over time, they lead you away from alignment with heaven. You will know them by this. They diminish your faith. They excuse your compromise. And they pull you downward instead of calling you higher. True counsel, however, may sting when you first hear it, but it carries life within it. It sharpens you like iron against iron, sparks flying in the process, yet making you stronger. True counsel does not flatter, it convicts. It does not manipulate, it liberates. And always, it directs your gaze back to God, never toward the pride of men. Remember how Eve was deceived in the garden. The serpent did not come with fangs bared, he came with words. He questioned what God had said, planting doubt with subtle suggestions. False voices still operate the same way, raising questions that sound harmless but sow confusion in your spirit. If you do not guard your ears, you risk trading the eternal for the temporary. Chosen one. You cannot afford to treat discernment lightly. To guard your calling, you must test every word. Ask yourself, does this voice align with the Word of God? Does it increase my peace or disturb it? Does it fuel my obedience or excuse my rebellion? Truth always withstands testing. Lies always crack under the weight of light. Discernment is like holding gold to the fire. What is pure shines brighter. What is false melts away. Do not rush to embrace every voice that sounds appealing. Wait, test, and weigh. The Spirit within you will always confirm truth. And when He confirms, peace will settle like an anchor. Jesus Himself gave you this promise in the Gospel of John. John chapter 10, verse 4. When He has brought out all His own, He goes on ahead of them, and His sheep follow Him because they know His voice. That is your safety. You were created with the ability to recognize the shepherd's voice. His voice may correct you, but it will never confuse you. It may challenge you, but it will never condemn you. When He speaks, there is a clarity that settles, even if the path ahead feels steep. Do not despise warnings from the Spirit. Sometimes His voice whispers through unease in your heart. Other times He speaks through the words of someone anchored in truth. And occasionally, His voice roars like thunder through circumstances that force you to stop and reconsider. No matter how it comes, the shepherd's voice always points toward life. False counsel can be subtle, but it always leaves a trail. Watch for the fruit. Does the advice leave you drained, anxious, or doubtful? Or does it leave you strengthened, focused, and at peace? Jesus said, "A tree is known by its fruit." Do not ignore rotten fruit just because the tree looks healthy from a distance. Beloved, humility is key here. Pride blinds, but humility sharpens your ears. A humble heart is teachable, willing to weigh words carefully and admit when correction is needed. Pride, on the other hand, clings to flattering voices and dismisses true counsel as too harsh or inconvenient. If you want to remain steady in your calling, choose humility. It will protect you from deception. This is why solitude with God is essential. Without time in His presence, the noise of other voices will drown Him out. In silence and prayer, you recalibrate your ears to recognize His tone. Like a musician tuning an instrument, you align your spirit with the frequency of heaven. Then, when counterfeit notes sound, you recognize them instantly. Chosen one. Not every voice deserves access to your heart. Guard your circle. Guard your ears. And above all, guard your spirit. The enemy cannot stop your calling, but he can distract you with voices that lead you astray. Do not give him that power. Anchor yourself in the Word. Listen for the shepherd, and walk boldly in the counsel of truth. For in the end, it is not the loudest voice that matters, but the truest one, and when you follow it, you will never lose your way. Chosen one. The path you walk is not without confirmation. Heaven never calls without leaving traces of proof. When God sets you on a journey, He seals it with signs and wonders, not always grand or spectacular, but undeniable, enough to remind you that you are not alone. Perhaps you have already seen them, doors opening where none existed, unexpected provision when your resources ran dry, strength rising in you when you thought you would collapse. These are not accidents. They are heaven's fingerprints marking your steps. Signs and wonders are not for entertainment, they are for assurance. They whisper to your heart, yes, you are on the right path. Remember the Israelites in the wilderness. Each morning, manna appeared on the ground, bread from heaven. Not once, not twice, but every single day for 40 years. That daily wonder was God's reminder, I am with you. I will sustain you. Likewise, in your journey, there will be daily mercies, quiet miracles that carry you forward. Signs do not exist to replace faith, they strengthen it. They do not carry you the entire way, but they steady your heart when doubt creeps in. When Gideon trembled, asking for proof with the fleece, God did not scold him. Instead, he gave him the sign he asked for, because God knew the weight of the battle ahead required reassurance. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Hebrews chapter 2, verse 4, God also testified to it by signs, wonders, and various miracles, and by gifts of the Holy Spirit distributed according to his will. This truth still stands. Signs and wonders are not relics of history, they are present realities. Heaven continues to mark its chosen ones with evidence that confounds the doubter and strengthens the believer. The gifts you carry, the moments of unexplainable intervention, the peace that floods you when chaos surrounds you, these are all testimonies that God is near. Chosen one, do not dismiss the small wonders. Too often, people look only for the parting of seas and the raising of the dead, forgetting that breath in your lungs and conviction in your spirit are miracles too. The fact that you survived what should have destroyed you is itself a wonder. The fact that you can hear this message right now, heart stirred and eyes opened, is itself a sign that heaven has not let you go. But signs are also assignments. When God shows himself, it is not just to comfort you, it is to compel you. Every wonder is a summons to deeper obedience. Every miracle is a reminder that you are not walking for yourself alone. You are walking for those who will see your testimony and believe. That is why you must mark this moment. Do not let it slip by as though it were chance. Heaven is calling you to respond with the seal of your own. Just as Abraham built altars to mark encounters with God, you too must leave a mark of agreement. Today, let it be the number 909. Comment it boldly below. 909. Why this number? Because it is prophetic. It symbolizes new birth out of endings, a cycle closing and another beginning. The fullness of God's design, bringing you into alignment. By writing it, you are not just typing digits, you are declaring, I see the signs, I embrace the wonders, I align myself with God's will. Oh, do not underestimate such an act. In the physical, it looks simple. In the spiritual, it is thunder. It is agreement. And agreement is power. When you put 909 into the atmosphere, you join your testimony to heaven's testimony, saying, yes, I recognize the signs. Yes, I will walk this path. Oh, chosen one. The signs around you are not random. They are holy markers guiding your journey. Wonders are not entertainment. They are empowerment. Do not ignore them. Do not explain them away. Receive them. Honor them, and let them propel you deeper into obedience. And as you move forward, watch for them with expectation. Do not live blind to heaven's movements. Keep your eyes open, for wonders may appear in the ordinary. A stranger's word, a closed door, an unexpected opportunity. These too can be signs if your spirit is awake. This is the way of the chosen. You do not stumble in darkness. You walk by light, guided by signs, strengthened by wonders, carried by the Spirit. And as long as you remain attentive, you will never be abandoned. Heaven will testify on your behalf again and again until your mission is complete. Chosen one, you were never meant to carry this journey alone. The weight of your mantle is heavy, your mission demanding, and your path filled with battles. Heaven designed it so that you would not walk in isolation, but discover a community of those marked like you. These are not ordinary companions, they are fellow warriors. Chosen ones whose light burns alongside yours. Look back through history and see the pattern. David had his mighty men, a band of warriors who shared his victories and carried him through battles. Elijah had Elisha, a successor and companion who walked with him to the very end. Jesus himself chose 12 to walk beside him, though he could have walked alone. The truth is clear. Even the strongest chosen one needs a community. This community is not about numbers, but about unity. 10,000 acquaintances cannot replace one true ally. The chosen are drawn together not by convenience, but by covenant. They may come from different nations, different backgrounds, and different stories, but their spirits recognize one another. When chosen ones meet, something deep stirs an unspoken recognition, a sense of home. When you find such companions, it feels as though your soul exhales. You no longer have to explain your fire, because they carry their own. Their presence is like a mirror, reminding you that you are not strange, you are chosen, and you are seen. Together, chosen ones create a rhythm, a cadence that cannot be faked. Their unity becomes a song of victory that pushes back the night. Even silence among them carries weight, for their spirits agree without words. This is the mystery of covenant community, strength multiplied through divine connection. The Word of God declares in Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 and 10, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up." This truth resounds for you now. Your strength is mighty, but even mighty ones stumble. The community of the marked is God's way of ensuring that, when you fall, you will rise again, not by your own strength alone, but by the hands of those who walk beside you. Chosen one. Loneliness has tried to convince you that no one understands, that no one else carries the same fire. That is a lie. You are not alone. Even now, heaven is stirring connections, weaving threads between chosen ones across distances. Some you will meet face to face, others you will encounter through divine appointments. But each connection is purposeful, not random. This community is more than encouragement, it is protection. When one is attacked, the others stand guard. When one grows weary, the others carry the weight. When one loses sight, the others remind them of the vision. The enemy knows this, which is why he works to isolate. He fears what happens when chosen ones unite. For one warrior can chase 1,000, but two can put 10,000 to flight. Unity multiplies authority. Do not despise small beginnings. Your community may begin with one ally, one friend, one confidant who understands your fire. Treasure them, pray with them, fight alongside them. For as the community grows, so too does the strength of your mission. But take care, community requires discernment. Not every crowd is your company. Not every companion is your covenant. The marked ones will not pull you backward into compromise. They will not silence your fire. They will not exploit your mantle. Instead, they will sharpen you, call you higher, and remind you of your crown when you forget it yourself. Chosen one. Perhaps you have been betrayed by those you trusted, wounded by companions who abandoned you. Do not let that pain harden you into isolation. The counterfeit does not cancel the real. Just because false friends wounded you does not mean true allies do not exist. Healing may be slow, but trust again, for heaven has prepared the right ones to walk with you. Understand this: the community of the marked is not about comfort alone, it is about mission. Together, chosen ones become an army. Together, their voices thunder louder, their prayers shake stronger, their light pierce deeper. Alone you are a flame, together you are a wildfire. Beloved, lift your eyes. You are part of something greater than yourself. Heaven has scattered marked ones like stars across the earth. Each shines where they are placed. But together, they form constellations that guide nations. You are one of those lights, and you are not shining alone. Chosen one. Now that you have seen the strength of community, it is time to learn how to stand prepared. For even with allies beside you, the daily battle must still be fought within your own spirit. You cannot depend on the courage of others alone. You must be equipped with your own tools of warfare. Spiritual battles are not won with the weapons of men. You cannot swing a sword of steel against anxiety, nor fire an arrow to pierce despair. These enemies dwell unseen, and only unseen weapons can defeat them. That is why heaven provides disciplines, habits, and holy practices, not as burdens, but as armor. Prayer is your first weapon, not polished, fancy words, but raw conversation with your Creator. Prayer sharpens your spirit, the way a whetstone sharpens a blade. The more you pray, the clearer your discernment becomes. The steadier your steps grow, the stronger your resistance stands. Prayer is not empty ritual, it is lifeline. It is oxygen. It is breath. Scripture is your sword. Without it, you are unarmed against lies. Every deception of the enemy can be cut apart by truth, but you must wield it with confidence. Think of Jesus in the wilderness. He did not argue with temptation. He responded with, "It is written." The word was his weapon, and it must be yours as well. Fasting is your shield. It quiets the noise of the flesh and trains your spirit to hear heaven more clearly. In a world obsessed with indulgence, fasting teaches you that man does not live by bread alone. It strengthens your inner resolve, teaching your heart to obey before your body even agrees. Worship is your war cry. When darkness presses heavy, songs of surrender become banners lifted high. Worship confuses the enemy, for it transforms pain into praise and turns sorrow into strength. It is not about melody or rhythm, but about posture, a heart lifted toward God, even in the middle of storms. The ancient words recorded in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4 declare, "The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. Rise early, not in legalism, but in readiness. Begin your days not with the noise of the world, but with stillness before God. Let His voice be the first you hear. Carry the word with you, not as a burden, but as nourishment. Even a single verse carried in your spirit can strengthen you more than 1,000 empty words from the world. Guard your mind as a fortress. Do not allow every thought to roam freely. Thoughts are seeds, and if you do not watch them, weeds will grow. Take every thought captive. Measure it against truth, and cast out what does not belong. For the greatest wars often begin with whispers in the mind. Beloved, do not despise structure. Discipline is not prison, it is protection. It does not confine you, it equips you. Just as an athlete trains daily for a race, so too must you train daily for your mission. Without training, you may still be chosen, but you will not be prepared. And an unprepared chosen one is vulnerable. There will be days when discipline feels tedious, days when you pray without words, when scripture feels dry, when fasting feels unbearable, when worship feels hollow. Do not mistake dryness for defeat. These are training grounds, even when your spirit feels empty. The habit of discipline builds resilience that will carry you through the fiercest storms. Remember, preparation is not glamorous. A soldier's training often happens in hidden places, far from the eyes of crowds. But when battle comes, the hours of unseen training reveal themselves in strength, clarity, and victory. In the same way, your secret disciplines will shine publicly when the test arrives. Chosen one. Warfare tools are not occasional, they must become lifestyle. This is not about moments of passion, but about rhythms of faithfulness. Anyone can burn brightly for a day, but only the disciplined burn steadily for a lifetime. And you are not called to flicker, you are called to blaze. So take up your tools daily. Pray until the words turn into fire. Read until the word becomes flesh in your life. Fast until your spirit grows sharper than your hunger. Worship until heaven feels closer than your own breath. This is how strongholds break. This is how chosen ones rise. And when you walk clothed in discipline, you will discover something profound. The enemy no longer finds easy access. What once tempted you loses its grip. What once shook you loses its power. What once silenced you loses its voice. You become a fortress, unyielding, unshakable, unstoppable. Chosen one. Sharpen your weapons. Strengthen your spirit. Discipline your days. For the war is real, but so is your authority. And with these tools, you are not only prepared to withstand the darkness, you are prepared to overcome it. Chosen one. There comes a moment when truth tips the balance. You have walked through fire. You have endured storms. You have felt the weight of silence. And now, heaven places in your hands a revelation that changes everything. This is the tipping revelation, the moment when destiny shifts from theory to reality, from promise to possession. Think of a scale weighed down by years of struggle. On one side sits every disappointment, every delay, every wound. It seems impossible that anything could balance it. Yet, in one instant, a single grain of revelation tips the weight. overturning the years, breaking the cycles, rewriting the story. That is the power of truth revealed at the right time. The tipping revelation is not merely knowledge, it is awakening. It is when the words you have heard countless times suddenly ignite as fire. It is when the scripture you once skimmed now burns with clarity. It is when you realize you are not waiting for victory, you are standing in it already. That realization shatters chains faster than years of striving. The ancient words recorded in the Gospel of Matthew. Matthew chapter 16, verse 18. Declare, and I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church. The gates of Hades not overcome. Do you see the shift? Peter had always known Jesus as teacher, but when revelation struck, you are the Christ, his entire identity changed. He was no longer just Simon, he was Peter, the rock. One moment of revelation tipped his destiny into alignment with heaven's design. Chosen one. Heaven is releasing the same kind of shift to you. You have carried names that were never yours, labels of rejection, titles of failure, whispers of insignificance. But the tipping revelation exposes them as lies. You are not abandoned, you are beloved. You are not forgotten, you are chosen. You are not fragile, you are a weapon. That revelation is enough to tip the scales of your life. And here is the mystery. Revelation multiplies when it is shared. A flame hidden in one lamp lights only one house. But when passed from hand to hand, it becomes a wildfire that cannot be contained. That is why your voice matters. That is why your story matters. And that is why this very message must continue flowing, not for vanity, but for victory. Think of this space, this voice, this channel as a table in the wilderness. Travelers weary from battle gather here and find bread, water, and light. But a table must be prepared. Bread must be baked. Lamps must be filled. Every like, every share, every subscription is a hand carrying wood for the fire, flour for the bread, oil for the lamp. Without those hands, the table would grow empty. With them, it overflows. Or picture a battle trumpet. Its blast cuts through the fog, rallying soldiers scattered across the field. But a trumpet must be lifted and sounded. Every donation, every gift, every act of support is wind in that trumpet, ensuring the call does not fade. You may never see the faces of those gathered by the sound, but heaven says, heaven records, heaven rewards. Chosen one. If this revelation has struck your spirit, do not hold it silently. Let it resound. Share it so that another wandering soul may find the table. Subscribe so you remain seated at the banquet when fresh bread is served. Sow into it. Donate. Not as obligation, but as covenant, because when you feed the table, you are feeding the army of chosen ones rising with you. And beyond the actions of support, let your heart also engage. Comment your faith, your reflection, your declaration. Write the truth stirring within you, for they will become testimonies that strengthen others who read. You may never know how your words ripple into someone else's midnight, but heaven knows. So, here is your prophetic activation for this section. Comment below these words. I choose my crown. 3 simple words, yet heavy with meaning. You are declaring that you will no longer bow to lies. You will no longer shrink from destiny. You will no longer trade your mantle for comfort. You are aligning with heaven's revelation that you were always meant to reign with Christ. Say it boldly. Write it publicly. Let it be a banner planted in the soil of your life. For the tipping revelation is not complete until it becomes a declaration, and once you declare it, chains break, scales tip, and the gates of hell cannot withstand what has been set in motion. Chosen one, you are standing in a turning point. Revelation has struck, identity has shifted, and destiny has tipped in your favor. Now take that revelation, share it, sow into it, and declare it. For the world is waiting for the sound of chosen ones rising, and you are one of them. Chosen one. Every crown is prepared long before it rests on the head of the one who will wear it. Heaven does not hand out crowns hastily. They are forged in the fires of humility, honor, and readiness. The crown is not merely an ornament of glory, it is a weight of responsibility. To receive it, your spirit must be shaped to carry it without corruption. Humility is the first preparation. Without it, crowns slip into arrogance. The higher you are lifted, the more essential it is that your knees know the ground. Humility does not mean weakness, it means strength under submission. It is the posture that recognizes every gift, every opportunity. Every victory comes not from your own hand, but from God. The world celebrates pride, but heaven crowns the humble. Think of Joseph, once despised and betrayed. He rose to power in Egypt, yet his greatness did not corrupt him, because humility anchored him when his brothers stood before him, trembling in fear. He could have crushed them. Instead, he wept, forgave, and declared that God had turned their evil into good. This is the fruit of humility. It protects the crown from becoming a weapon of revenge. Honor is the second preparation. To be crowned is to be entrusted with influence, and influence requires respect for others. A crown is not worn for self alone. It is worn for the sake of those you are called to serve. Honor teaches you to see the value in others, to treat them with dignity even when they cannot repay you. Without honor, a crown becomes a trophy. With honor, a crown becomes a trust. We see this truth in the writings of Peter. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 4. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that will never fade away. The crown given by heaven is not temporary. It does not tarnish. It does not crumble. It does not fade. Yet to wear it rightly, your heart must be trained in readiness. For readiness is the third preparation, the daily discipline of aligning your spirit with your destiny. Readiness means you do not wait until the crown arrives to live as one entrusted. You practice faithfulness in small things, stewardship in hidden places, obedience when no one is watching. A soldier does not wait until the trumpet sounds to train. He prepares daily so that when the call comes, he is already strong. In the same way, you must live prepared. Chosen one. The danger of a crown is not only in never receiving it, but in receiving it too soon. A crown on an unprepared head is a disaster. It crushes rather than elevates, corrupts rather than blesses. That is why the season of preparation is not punishment, it is mercy. Heaven delays not to deny you, but to protect you, to ensure that when the crown rests upon your head, it will not slip, rot, or fall. Do not despise the waiting. Waiting is polishing. Waiting is shaping. Waiting is training your neck to bear the weight without strain. The delays you have endured are not signs of rejection. They are signs that heaven is ensuring your readiness. Chosen one. Remember this. Crowns are not for display. They are for service. To wear a crown is to accept a yoke heavier than before. It is to be called higher, to serve deeper, to love wider. The crown is not about you. It is about what flows through you to others. Guard your heart. Then, against the temptations that seek to erode humility, honor, and readiness, pride will whisper, "You earned this." Dishonor will whisper, "They are beneath you." Weariness will whisper, "You are not strong enough." Silence those lies. The truth is that your crown was chosen for you before time began, and heaven has been preparing you to wear it well. Beloved, your preparation is almost complete. You have walked valleys that carved humility into your spirit. You have honored others, even when dishonor was your reward. You have endured seasons of hiddenness that built readiness in your bones. Do not abandon the process now. The crown is closer than you realize, and when it comes, you will not tremble under its weight. You will wear it with steadiness, with grace, with glory, not because you are flawless, but because you are prepared. This is the way of the chosen. Crowns are not stumbled upon. They are prepared for. And you, beloved, are readying yourself for a crown that will never fade. Chosen one, the journey has led you here, to the place of unshakable declaration. You have walked valleys shadowed with sorrow, climbed mountains steep with trial, and endured seasons of silence where it felt as though heaven itself held its breath. Yet through it all, you have discovered this unbreakable truth. You are chosen, and nothing can unchoose you. Every scar you carry testifies not to defeat, but to survival. Every delay that once felt like denial has proven itself to be preparation. Every battle that nearly crushed you has become the training ground that shaped you into a warrior. You are no longer who you were at the beginning of this journey. You are refined, purified, and unshakable. There will still be storms. There will still be voices of doubt, whispers of fear, moments when shadows try to creep back in. But you no longer face them as a wanderer. You face them as one crowned with identity, armed with truth, and clothed in destiny. You have crossed thresholds that cannot be uncrossed, stepped through doors that cannot be shut, and embraced a calling that cannot be revoked. The Word of God declares with thunderous certainty in the book of Isaiah chapter 54, verse 17, "No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me, declares the Lord. This is your inheritance." Chosen one. The weapons may be forged, but they will not prosper. The accusations may rise, but they will not stand. The storms may rage, but they cannot sweep you away. You are not fragile clay. You are tempered steel, fire-tested and spirit-forged. Lift your eyes to the horizon. Ahead lies not only survival but victory, not only endurance but influence. You were not preserved to remain hidden. You were preserved to shine, to stand, to declare. Your voice, once silenced by fear, now carries authority. Your steps, once hesitant, now carve paths for others. Your presence, once doubted, now disrupts darkness wherever you go. Chosen one. You are unshakable because your foundation is not in yourself, but in the eternal rock. You are unstoppable because your strength flows not from flesh, but from spirit. You are undeniable because heaven has stamped you with identity that no hand of man can erase. There will be those who still misunderstand you. There will be those who question, who mock, who resist. Do not waste your energy proving yourself. Light does not argue with darkness, it simply shines, and the shadows flee. In the same way, you do not need to defend your chosenness. Live it, and the fruit will speak for itself. Beloved, your declaration is not only for yourself. When you stand unshakable, others see and rise. When you refuse to bow to fear, others find courage. When you walk with crown and mantle secure, others are reminded that they, too, are chosen. Your life becomes a sermon louder than words, a torch passed into hands you may never meet. So declare it now within yourself. I am chosen. I am unshakable. I am unstoppable. Let these truths etch themselves into your soul until they are no longer declarations but identity. You will falter at times, but faltering does not erase chosenness. You will stumble at times, but stumbling does not remove crowns. What God has marked, no force of darkness can unmark. Chosen one, you have reached the culmination of this message, but not the end of your journey. In many ways, this is only the beginning. For the crown upon your head, the mantle upon your shoulders, and the fire within your spirit were not given for you to keep silent. They were given so you would walk into the fullness of your destiny. A living testimony that heaven still writes stories in the earth. Walk boldly, then stand firmly, live wholly. You are the unshakable, the unstoppable, the undeniable. You are God's chosen one. Chosen one. You have reached the end of this journey in words, but the path before you is only beginning. What you have heard was not random, it was divine alignment. Each scar named, each crown prepared, each revelation declared has been for this purpose, to awaken you fully into who you are. You are not ordinary. You are not forgotten. You are chosen, preserved for such a time as this. Now, the question is not whether you have been called. The question is what you will do with the call. The message you carry is fire. But fire is not meant to remain hidden in a corner. Fire must spread. Light must travel. And the way it spreads is through you. Beloved, when you like this message, you are not simply pressing a button. You are striking flint against stone, sending sparks into the darkness. When you share it, you are passing the torch into the hands of someone who may be drowning in shadows. When you subscribe, you are choosing to stay connected to the flow of oil, so that the flame does not flicker but grows brighter day by day. And yes, when you donate, you are not merely giving, you are sowing into a vineyard. Every seed sustains the table, fuels the lighthouse, and strengthens the trumpet call so that chosen ones across the earth can awaken. You may never see the full harvest of your seed, but heaven says, heaven records, and heaven multiplies. Finally, let your own voice be part of this flame. Comment your reflection, your declaration, your testimony. Your words may be the bread that feeds another soul, searching for confirmation tonight. Stand tall, chosen one. shine bright, and let this not be the end, but the beginning of a wildfire of glory.